too much.
Vermiculite top coat. When patching divots and erosions in your liner pool's vermiculite floor, is there a way to skim coat it? If so, what is your recommended mixture of cement, vermiculite, and water, and what is the desired tool?
So if we're talking about skimming the entire pool, what I would do if you're trying to do the whole pool is I would want to make sure that I'm adding something to it. If it's just sand, if it's just vermiculite, Portland cement, and water, it's going to tend to flake. If you were going to do the whole pool, if you're doing just patches, I don't think it's a big deal to just patch and feather out lightly in every direction. The tool would be, number one, let's start with what the tool will be. The tool that I would use is a round steel trowel. At Home Depot, they're called pool trowels, and that's what they're designed for. They were technically designed to do plaster finishes on concrete pools years ago, but they were adapted to use for vermiculite bottoms as well. If you use a square trowel, which is fine, you're going to tend to leave lines in it as you're troweling it on. In terms of if you're trying to do large areas, I would make it a heavier Portland cement blend, and then I would also probably use an acrylic additive. Again, Home Depot, Lowe's will have a Quikrete product. It's called a concrete additive. It might even say a concrete adhesive. I would mix that in the mixture. It's going to make it just a little stickier, and it'll bond to the surface of the old vermiculite. If this is just a matter of touching up little spots here and there before you put the new liner in, once the liner gets in place, it holds it pretty tight. It's not likely to move. So if you're just talking about little cracks and things, I would just mix up a normal, you'd have to figure out how to batch it out, but if you're using bags of vermiculite, a 40-pound bag of vermiculite is a pretty big bag of vermiculite. That takes half of a 94-pound bag of Portland cement is the normal mixture. If you're trying to just sort of randomly figure it out, I would just make it to a consistency that it's kind of a fluff but sticky. You want more Portland on a patch than on a normal pool when you're doing an entire bottom. Make sure that it's a little richer with Portland, and you'll feel it. It'll number one, it'll be a little heavier, but it'll be a little creamier, and that extra Portland will help it stick a little bit. So if it's just patches, mix it up any way you can. Once the liner goes in, it'll stay fine. If it's big areas, you're going to want to kind of figure out how to batch it out in terms of bigger quantities, but I would make it always rich in Portland. And then in that case, if it was bigger, you're doing a lot of volume, I would also put an additive in it.